And we're back with another Design League video, and this one is from Trailducker, who's someone I know the name from the forum, but I've never played any of the courses, or if I do, I don't remember them. And as you can see, we're in a completely different sort of setting. So tropical, you can see much more open. We've got waterfall, we've got curved bridges, we've got the classic low lighting, and as you can see, again, we've got that rectangle, and it looks like he has used absolutely every bit of it. Now, one of the things I didn't mention in the video is that there can be extras and things contained outside of the rectangle, so you can see he's made this clubhouse. We're not going to be factoring that in from my point of view. I'm really just interested in how it plays. But yeah, this one looks fun. We've got a creek, we've got a beach. There's a ton of variety going on within six holes, so really interested to see how this looks. Some dense planting in front of the tee. Oh, we've got some bumpy fairways. And we got some... Okay, there's some stuff. So, I love the concept here of splitting the fairway. The fairway edges... This is a bit weird to me. I get they're going for kind of ragged edge fairways, and I know Dylan did something similar on Monterey. I think they need to be a bit less uniform than just in, out, in, out, in, out. It kind of needs to be a bit more wavy, because actually those are still one pretty straight line with lots of ins and outs. So that does look a little bit odd, particularly when we come up here as well. Straight away though, we're presented with an option, and it's... I think you can do this a little more subtly, because this one's basically you hit 3 wood straight. I'd love it if you'd made this diagonal, so I've got a choice of whether I carry it rather than if I go left or right. Because as is, it's basically, do I want to go this way, do I want to go this way, do I want to lay back? Do I want to lay back here? Do I want to lay way back here? Which is good. There's all sorts of choices there, but I think it's an either or rather than a do I want to go and play close to this or just over it. Like, you're kind of segmenting the fairway a little bit. Now, if we look at the green, kind of a similar thing to the last course we played, where there's a lot of tiers. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to hit this shot, and I think... Have you made this out of bounds? You haven't. That's fine by me. Wouldn't have minded either way. We've got some blindness on the approach where I think we could be sculpting this fairway down. Just, it's not in play, nobody's ever using it, and we can't see the bunker in the front. I do think this shot is a bit too penal. There's just no way I'm stopping this on the green. Kind of the same as the last course. Like, the green is generally a bit too small, I would say. I think the fairway could be wider as well, but that might be personal preference. So I'm kind of looking at this going, well, I can't land it on the green and stop it. I think I'd struggle even for a back pin, which, and I know I've hit 3 wood, but given how much you took up of the fairway, you're forcing driver by distance. If this green is about 50 yards closer, I think this green maybe will work really well, because you're hitting a wedge into it. It's that sort of a green. It's not a 4-iron, 5-iron green. We'll hit hybrid and hope. Oh. Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I was going to come to. The cliff edges you've got are a little bit sheer, and the game just does not handle straight vertical very well. This is one of those things where I remember asking Reeb when I started, how do you do cliffs? And his answer was just, you'll get better with practice. And he's right, like, you will get there. Look at other courses. It's basically going down a bit more gradually, chipping away at it, and try to make it flow into the land as well. I think if we look at my stance, where this green is propped up, you can see it's going down and then back up is a little bit awkward. I'd love for this side to be a bit higher, would make sense with the general flow of the land in this direction. And I think you saw the bounce that I got was a bit of a funky one as well. Generally, just think this green complex also could use a little bit more space away from the cliffs. Like, you can get some awkwardness coming in here. And I get that space is at a premium, but there's ways around it. It's also probably propped up a couple of feet too much. So yeah, I mean, lots to say on that hole. I like the concept. I think it's a couple of tweaks away, probably distance and then the landing zone. Whereas this one, you give me all sorts of space, which I love. But we have changed kind of style of fairway dramatically in the first two holes. I far prefer this one. I think your undulations could be a little bit bigger. Like there's a lot of small little bumps and moguls, but not much actual big land movement. I really like this one. Again, the green's kind of suffering from some of the tieredness, but I do like these little kicker slopes you can at the back. That's nice. I guess the question is, why would I not go for it? I don't think that really matters. This is just a fun hole. I love what you've done with the sight line and just opening it up to the green over the planting. Make sure your planting's not in the way. That's a nice touch. Are we hitting over another hole? Oh, no, we're not. That's okay. Bunker work. Obviously didn't mention on the first because we only had the one and it was in front. Bunker work's pretty good. I like the shapes. I think they generally work pretty well. This one you're struggling a little with your sculpting to decide whether you want this as the high side or this as the high side, and so we've got this, it's sitting a little awkwardly. Also not sure you need it, but maybe just to yeah, no, maybe you do. Same with this one. This side I would drop way down, which would make sense with the land it's dropping into this little bit of water. I think this is a green light, even with my tempo. That's why the bunker's there. Perfect. The green itself, I personally don't love tiers at the front that fall off in both directions. I think I've done them before, but I think they're really hard to do well. We've got some transition things, so like trying to make sure that this matches your green as neatly as you can would be good. It's not the biggest thing. I do think this is a really cool hole. Actually, that wasn't a bad miss because we're hitting across the tier rather than up it, which works quite well. Turn. Hey, that did not deserve a birdie at all. That's a really fun hole. I enjoyed that one. I think you're definitely making the most of the variety of the setting. Okay, so now we've got centerline bunkers. We're doing a lot of things in 3 holes, which I guess is kind of the spirit of the competition, so that's good. I think part of what I preferred about your second to your first was the fact that it wasn't just kind of a straight hole. This one's a bit more of a straight hole, which isn't a bad thing. This is a better green. Go on, find that bunker. Okay. Yeah, I think I've been trying to put my finger on what it is that I think is slightly off about the land movement. And what I'm essentially coming to is it's like stepping down. So like you've got high, middle, and low, and the transitions just happen to happen between the holes. I'd have loved it if every hole had a bit of a gentle movement left to right, or like let's say the left side of this fairway sloped off massively, because we're just going like steep movement flat, steep movement flat, steep movement flat, even though there are little undulations. And that's the thing that's just striking me the most on this course, because I think that would have really lifted it and worked with the land a bit more. Oh, we're out. Again, this green site's really good. I don't love the fairway behind the green. I think it extends out quite far. Just generally, the splinal shape work that you're doing, I think it could be, even though it's meant to be ragged, I think it could be done more neatly, if that makes sense. I'm enjoying this though. It's a fun look as well. That's going to be long. Oh no. A little bit of a spine there as well. It'd be interesting to know where you put the other pins. Probably one there. I would imagine one here, maybe one here or here. Whichever ones are on the middle are probably going to play pretty similarly. I might be tempted to flatten out the back of this green and put one behind that spine, something like that. Maybe extend the shape. But this is good. Nah, not a good part. I think the environment for this is really cool. That's a lovely looking par 3. I wish you had lowered this bit of land, because that would have shown off the water and everything, and you've done a really good job framing the right hand side. And the land is all moving this way, and then there's just this bit that's high and it's kind of blocking our view a bit. Especially as you've done some nice little lily pad planting and things down here. Green doesn't fit with what you've done elsewhere. I am all for trying to do different. This is one of those things that compared to what you've done elsewhere, it feels really manufactured, and yeah, I get the principle. I just don't think it quite fits. But lovely setting. Oh, good. Where are we going? I think it's really generally thumbprints or things like this sort of manufactured feature, unless you're going for that the whole way through the course and like it is a geometric manufactured style course, it's going to stand out really badly when you suddenly put it in if you haven't done that before. Yeah, this one goes back to our first hole where it's just like either you're laying way back or I think you've tried really hard to dissuade driver. Like there's so many hazards in play on this, and I think you could have just used one of them. Personally, I'd have made you've got the river here. Let's make the most of that. That's your best feature. Let's wind the fairway close to that. As you've done, you've given a really good angle to the green. Like let's give us fairway here. Give us fairway here, and then the further right we are, the worse our angle into the green, and we're hitting at the water again. You don't need this. This sliver of the fairway is just unusable, and I think it sort of falls off on both sides as well. And in actual fact, I reckon maybe my best bet is probably just to play up here, which I know isn't the spirit of things, but like people will do that, and that's going to give me a look straight down the green. And I know that's not how you wanted me to play the hole, but I wouldn't have done that if I felt you'd given me, let's say, a fairer way to play this. There's just too many things defending this one spot. And I'm sure this bit of planting comes into play nicely on the 6th. This is one of those questions where when you're routing the course, you've got to really be thinking of everything in tandem and looking at this hole and going, well, can people do that? I do love the river work you've done. I think that's really nice. Again, with the sort of steepness down to here, if that had been more gradual, I think this lifts the course as a whole. Right, let's see if we can hit tempo. I mean, I don't deserve a birdie after cheating massively off the tee. And the answer is we can't. Great view down the coastline. So yeah, as with the first, I think there's lots I really like here. I do really like your idea of like a 3-tiered plot. Oh, nearly. I think those transitions could be a little bit smoother. There's some stuff with sculpting and surfacing that I hope I've pointed out a little bit. And the greens, I think one of the trickiest things, yeah, I mean we can still, I guess with this driver you can still hit down to here. It is tough routing this closely. But I mean, at least this one, the green is very much defended. So now we've got a very wacky shape with the green, which we haven't had before. And I think you've got all the variety of ideas, and each one of those is a good idea on its own. It's do they necessarily fit together? Ooh, got away with that one. Again, like with your first, this time I haven't laid up, but given that you give me a central hazard and an option to like Let's have a look at the whole overview. So like there, we're pinching driver pretty hard. Like you're offering me driver down this side, I get, but I could also run through, so it's not an easy drive. And on this length of hole, I'm all for this length of hole, I'm all for that drive, but I don't think this approach really fits with this with the drive. Oh, at least I got the tempo I wanted. Because again, I think you've made a green designed for a wedge, which is actually kind of accepting a 5-iron. Still, hopefully, can make an up and oh no, oh no. The beach itself, I think we can smooth out a little bit. You can see some lumps in the sand. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but I think there's some tidying up we can do. Ah, shame. So there we go. Oh, I forgot to mention at the start. This one is by. Oh no, I did mention this is by trailducker. So I finish up at even par, which, you know what, that's probably fair for how I played. Really fun course. I think the main thing I'd focus on there is just your consistency of ideas. You've obviously tried a lot of new stuff, and some of that a lot of that really works. It's kind of whether it's all in harmony in part. And I think, yeah, just smoothing out some of those ideas. The big ideas are good. It's now just tidying things up. But yeah, best of luck, and hope that helps.